Sup nerds, I'm Tom.
I'm Wes.
I'm Aaron.
We're Neverboard Gaming, and we're taking a look at I Am the Fourth Wall. I Am the Fourth Wall is a surprisingly unique game because it's a Cthulhu-themed game, which actually you wouldn't guess just by the title of it, and I didn't guess prior to us actually sitting down. And it's kind of like you had said Arkham Horror, the card game, in the fact that there's an awful lot of unique factors in it. The way the cards are multi-use, the way that the actions trigger is interesting. It has multiple variants. It has a co-op or an all versus one. So it's a Cthulhu game, but it's not your typical Cthulhu game.
Well, besides the fact that in this game you'll be taking on the role of investigators, investigating, these mysterious happenings that are happening in your town. You see these gates are opening and you're trying to close them. One player, if you're playing the all versus one player will be taking on the role of the wall. He is the fourth wall. He or she is the person who is controlling these forces and summoning these demons and monsters to come fight you. And as the investigators, you're trying to, destroy the monsters and close all these gates to keep, the old one from rising. That's a typical Cthulhu game, and it does have that, but...
True, but I'm just saying that the way it plays out is a lot different, I'm just saying I haven't seen a Cthulhu game where it comes at it with this type of...
Well, what you said with the multi-use cards, because
yeah.
Your cards are your marbles, they're your life force, and you have to use them to actually get rid of the monsters and to close the gates. So if you're going to spend 3 cards to close a gate because you need all 3 different icons... you're giving up a lot of your health, which then the wall player can knock you out and then gain another gate right back. So there's a lot of, you have to work with your team and use the abilities you have to actually win.
And also, I feel like there's a decent amount of stuff in here that isn't exclusively Cthulhu-ish stuff. Like they have the Elder Thing and the, the cultists and Migos, but they also have just Summoner here.
Ghouls, warlocks.
Yeah. Is that one called D-Hole?
I'm sure they're all things from Lovecraft's works. We just haven't read them. So there's some things that we're like, oh, this is exclusive to Lovecraft. And some things in Lovecraft probably aren't exclusive, like revolvers.
Restless Spirit.
And Aaron kind of talked about how that you can get knocked out if you lose all your cards. And I do like how it kind of has that Arkham Eldritch thing going on where if you get killed, you're not like out of the game and there's no player elimination. You just, the person who's playing as the old one gets to open another gate, get that much closer to winning, and then on your next turn, you pick a new character and kind of start fresh.
If you've been following Neverboard Gaming for an extended period of time, you may know that all versus one games are kind of our forte. We love Descent and Imperial Assault and Original Mansions of Madness and Tiny Epic Zombies was the newest one we played. So, we kind of feel like we have a little bit more experience with that type of game. And this one, I thought, again, I'm going to use the word clever, because there was an awful lot of clever things, like, again, the cards, not only are the cards multi-use, it's your health and your actions. We can do better actions, but he gains actions by us doing that. So there's a lot of really interesting ways to create the balance in between one player against multiple players, because it's usually hard to do.
Another way they did it is the fact that you have a timer that ticks down, so the game, it ends if there's 5 gates open, if you get to the end of the time, or if all the gates are closed. So there is the Overlord-esque character. The old one does have, they can just wait it out. If they can last long enough, then the old one does come into this realm and they win and everyone goes insane. But I think a cool way that they accomplish that is that as the timer goes on, you get to a certain point where the old one has gotten close enough that everyone can see who he is, and he gets that additional ability. So it's not just he's all-powerful all the time, but he has a ramping, the longer you wait, the harder it gets and the better he gets, and hopefully the better that the other players have gotten their hands so that they can kind of combat that better, or they've closed enough gates that they can kind of keep up with that, but it does get progressively harder the longer you wait.
Like with most things, the first thing you see when you look at this game is the graphics, and it definitely is eye-catching. There's all the characters are very colorful, and they're, they pop on the cards. I really like them, except for, some of these are still prototypes, so they're black and white for us, but I'm sure they'll be finished when you guys get your copy. Then when you go over to the horror side and the actual the fourth wall cards, they're a little darker, they're still cartoony, and there's actually like a pentagram that you're actually building out of the cards, which is, it's a really cool mechanism with the cards. The fact that there are 6 cards, and you're choosing one of the old ones to play with, and the other 5 are used to make that pentagram, is a really cool mechanism that they just print on the back of the cards just because they already had it, and it's there.
Yeah, it's cool that it's not just a pile of cards or tokens, but you're actually building something with the cards. It is something to be aware of as well, that if your family is sensitive to that kind of thing, yes, you are building a pentagram in this game, so just be aware.
I got to agree with Aaron that I was kind of blown away. Well, maybe not blown away, but I was really pleased when I saw this pentagram thing coming together with all these cards. I was like, that is so cool.
These guys really like pentagrams.
I just really thought.
You should see the bathroom
okay,
share.
but how else can, what? Of all the different ways that you can count a thing in a game, the ways you can keep count of something, this is a clever way to do it. They found a interesting and clever way to do a thing. And that's the one word I want to keep using for this game, is clever. Now, I don't want to oversell it. I don't want you to be thinking, oh, Tom, I've played games with multi-use cards before. Come on, that's not that big a deal. But it kind of is, because sitting down, I was like, oh, it's a Cthulhu-based game, and we're trying to take out that, okay, I know what we're going to kind of sort of try to do here. But there were a couple different layers of things. And really, in Ultimate Troll was the same thing. There were a couple of, types of mechanics that I never really saw utilized, at least utilized to this effect before in other games, and I really have to commend this game for that.
This game does have a fully co-op mode that we've talked about. Typically, we always play these games all versus one, just because I really like playing that overlord character, and I do feel like just our play style really, like, that's what we like to do. You're like Rado, who doesn't like that at all. He won't do it. We just really love that semi-co-op all versus one. It's like one of my favorite game styles. But if you do like co-op games, I actually did solo through the co-op game just to see what it was like, and it's really solid. And it actually, surprisingly, like, the base mechanics are the same, but there's like new decks that you add, and there's like locations you can go to.
Yeah, those street cards, I was looking at those are very interesting. Like, you lay them out on the street, and then when monsters come up there's new effects.
So if you do like co-op games, this is, I feel like a lot of games where there's like the all versus one is the game, and they add a co-op or a solo variant just to like please the people who need that in a game. But I do feel like you're almost getting 2 games in one box, because they're both really solid, and you could play both, or if you have one, then like if you don't really like the all versus one, don't shy away from this game, because the co-op version is just as solid.
So the first time I played this game, I wasn't really certain if I there's always the learning curve of trying to figure out all the rules and stuff, and when somebody else reads the rules and teaches it to you, you feel like you're missing things. And we're like going through it, and I'm like trying to take these actions, and feel like we're getting like beaten, but then eventually the heroes come back, and I did notice that as the heroes, as the investigators, we did kind of, have an advantage sometimes. If we could close gates early enough, we could, kind of put the fourth wall on their heels, and they're like, oh crap, I gotta get these, I gotta either knock out these investigators to get more of the gates open, or, just get the cultist or whatever to actually achieve that goal. And we actually played one game, we're like, let's play it really hard, and we put 4 gates to start, and that was insanely hard. Like, we as the investigators were like, oh my god, if we mess up one time, he's gonna get another gate.
You actually did. You closed a gate the second the next turn I would have opened the 5th gate.
Yeah, so it's like, you definitely have to work together and use your character abilities, and try to not lose your marbles.
It is really cool that this game is scalable like that. If you feel like the investigators just crushed it every time, you can start the game with an extra gate. If the investigators are just getting beaten like a bad dog every time, then you can start with less gates and just kind of scale it to whatever your group likes. And the game does play fairly quick, so if you do have a game, because like most card games, you can get a bad draw or you can get a really good draw. So as the fourth wall, you can get your starting hand just be like epic, and you start off with 3 cultists, and first round you can just open another gate and just be that much closer. And if it does go like that, you can just start over again, because even if you do play a full game to the time limit, it does go fairly fast. Even playing with like 4 investigators, it didn't go that. So, like, I was kind of surprised by how quickly it went once we got the hang of it, because there are quite a few actions to get a hang of. Like, your reference card has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think 8. I didn't actually count. So there are a lot of actions available to the investigator and to the one playing the old one, but it's not
the wall, Wes.
Regardless, there's a lot of actions out there, but it's one of those games where, like, not all of those actions are always available to you, and some of them are, like, kind of understood actions, or like, oh, it's an action I can take, but I don't have to keep track of it because it's also written right here, or like it'll be on the card if I can do that action. So once you, like, take a second, play your, like, learning game, it does click like that.
Neverboard Gaming highly recommends that you back I'm the Fourth Wall, and obviously you knew that because we're on the Kickstarter page. You know, we're making a Kickstarter preview. Why would we make one of these videos for a game that we didn't like? But we do get a lot of other Kickstarter games that we don't like, and we send back, and we refuse, you know, we don't do any video for it. So we're not doing this just for the publicity. We honestly and truly want to put our stamp of approval on I Am the Fourth Wall.
That being said, you guys should definitely click the link in the description box below if you're on YouTube, and head on over to the Kickstarter page to check this game out, or you can click the eye over above Aaron's head.
Oh, Aaron.
Oh, right here. And, you know, if you're already on the Kickstarter page, just keep scrolling back up to the top and back this game right now.
Either way, you should subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored. Sup, nerds? I'm Tom.
I'm Wes.
And I'm Aaron.
We're Neverboard Gaming, and we are also the Fourth Wall.
Then we'll go, I am the fourth wall. I am the
Aaron,
fourth wall.
that joke is never good.
Aaron's ideas are getting easier and easier to just immediately veto. Sup, nerds? I'm Tom.
I'm Wes.
And I'm Aaron.
We're Neverboard Gaming, but I am the Fourth Wall.